Okay, good morning, everyone. Today we start Google Docs, and today is Monday, the 18th of what month, Ed? May, right? Okay, good. Okay, so what we do every week when we start on our setup is to go over the 8 Google Docs that we study here, or that we focus on, we become masters in, become professionals in. We go over those every week because why, Desmond? Exactly. You know, we need to know when somebody says, well, what do you know about the cloud? The wrong answer, the first wrong answer is what? Nobody's going to say, I don't know. But what people will typically do is say, And then for the interviewer, what does mean? It means you don't know. Yeah. Exactly. So it's very important to commit these to memory. Everybody should have these already in your book. You should have a page that just has the 8 Google apps. And if you don't, please do it now. So let's just start with Gina. What is one of the Google apps we do?
Google Plus.
Google Plus, good. Okay, so tip, when somebody says, what are the cloud stuff you do? When you give them an answer, don't have your voice go up at the end. Because what does that mean?
Okay.
It's a question. So if you say Google Plus, what does that mean?
Maybe.
Yeah, that's a question. Okay. Okay, Mike. Gmail, good. Chrome. We're on a streak. Desmond? Maps, good. YouTube, okay. It's going to get hairy in a second. Calendar, good. And voice. Ed says thank you, right? Which one did you do? Oh, I thought that was Tim. Okay, good. Okay, Lewis says thank you, right? Okay, so probably in California you can't read it, but these are the 8 apps that we do, and the one in the center is what we're focused on this week. Some of these apps have sub-apps. Okay, so Monica, what's the sub-app of Google Plus? Huh? Hangouts, okay, good. You want to go for 2 or pass? No, a sub-app of Google Plus. Communities, good. You want to go for 3? Circles, great. Okay, those are sub-apps of Google Plus. Technically, they're apps, but for our purposes here, we consider them a sub-app because you can't really do circles, communities, or hangouts unless you are in Google Plus. Okay, Dominic, Gmail, sub-app. What would a sub-app of Gmail be? Okay. Okay, pass.
Circles.
No, Circles is a sub-app of this, but you can get there. It's connected. So that would be the next thing we would talk about is connections between the apps to one another. So, Suzanne, okay. Moses? Inbox? No. Okay, that's part of Gmail. All right, so contacts. It's a little bit obscure, but contacts is a major part of Google, the Google experience. And the easiest way to do contacts is through Gmail. In fact, on your Gmail, the button that's up over on the left near the top, if you click on that, you can go to contacts or you can go to something else called tasks, which we don't do. We don't do because it's just extra unnecessary work. Okay. Chrome. doesn't really have sub-apps, but there are features of Chrome that we also focus on. You kind of have a look like you know one of them. Okay. So for Chrome, we have apps and what's the other thing? Extensions, right. Extensions. Okay, so everybody should either have this in your book or be writing this in your book. Maps. Any sub-apps of maps? I'm going to say no, just to make it, just so we move along. I'm going to say no. There aren't really any sub-apps of maps that we do. Things like Street View, that's a feature.
Context would be a sub-app of Google Plus, Gmail,
Well,
and Apps.
You can get to contacts through Gmail, through voice, but it's not a sub-app of that. We don't learn it as a sub-app. Okay, so maps, no. YouTube, any sub-apps? Channels. I'm going to say for our purposes, we don't have a sub-app because channels, maybe it's a sub-app, but really I think we're going to say it's a feature like Gmail has inbox and sent and all that. Now, there are a tremendous amount of things to learn on YouTube. You can do editing, you can add soundtracks, you can add reader boards, you can add commercials. There's a tremendous amount of stuff you can do in YouTube, and you could probably get a job at a business if they like you, but you're like number two. But if you know how to do YouTube and you can talk to them about how YouTube helps them, probably that will tip the scales in your favor because YouTube is that important. I don't know how to use YouTube. I wish I did. I don't know how to use YouTube where we can edit stuff. But when I went on last week and saw how many videos that we have online, it's almost 500, all unedited. Okay, all of them are unedited. But for purposes here, with your Gmail account that you're assigned here, you have access to all of the YouTube videos that we've ever done, these Hangouts on Air. So you can always go back and watch today's episode to follow up on it. A lot of people like going back, or their families go back and watch graduation because they want to see and remember how they felt that day that they graduated. Sub-apps on calendar. Any sub-apps? I can't think of any. Huh? Agenda. Okay, that would be another way of looking at your maps, but I wouldn't say that's a sub-app. And voice, I would say the same thing. No sub-apps. Drive. Any sub-apps on Drive? Okay. So here we have docs. Good guess, because that's what we're studying this week. Okay, what else? Sheets. What are sheets? Okay. What else? Huh? Slides. Good. Who said that? Forms. Okay. Mindmap. Okay. Mindmap is actually a other app out here that is designed to work inside of Google, but it's not owned by Google. So we all let's see. So Drive. Any other sub apps of Drive?
Google Drawing.
Okay, drawings. We don't do that, but drawings. Okay, which is what?
Like where it'll take you, kind of does. It'll take a document and turn it into a spreadsheet and a map all the time.
Okay, so that's something we should learn. All right, so, and this week, we're going to focus on docs. A few weeks ago, we did forms, or maybe it was a month ago. I don't remember when we did it, but we did forms. We don't really do sheets. In California, they do Excel. And so that's a good segue into why do we do docs instead of Word? Why in here in Nevada do we do docs instead of Word? Huh? Okay, it's cloud-based. But why don't we do Word? In California, they're learning Word. Okay. So why don't we do Word? Why would you think? When everybody out there who works in an office, they know Word. Why don't we do Word?
Collaborate, docs.
Okay, but, well, that's why we do docs, but why don't we do Word? What? Okay, that's not why we don't do it. I think it will become obsolete unless Word becomes like docs.
Isn't it higher demand in Nevada? Or does it connect to the cloud? Is that why? Like if we go through Google, you said everybody, pretty sure you said everybody was using that one, but we needed this to connect to the cloud.
Well, okay. So the simple reason we don't teach Word here is because it's really a lot on Word than it is docs. Yeah.
Why isn't the other Larson class in California?
Why?
Why are they using Microsoft?
Okay, they're using Microsoft for a couple reasons. One is they've used Microsoft since 1989, or whenever they started. And they are good at getting new students into Microsoft Office. And Microsoft is the safe bet because everybody, you go into an office, the only thing people know is Office. Okay, you go to work in an office, everybody knows Office. You go in for an interview, and if they say, do you know Office? If you say no, but you now have to have a good reason why you don't know Office. And the answer for everyone is no, because you don't need to know Office now. You don't need to know Office. Okay, they do Office because they've been doing it. They're good at doing it. It's easy for a new student to come aboard and get into the, jump into the raft, the boat, and continue on learning how to do Word because everybody's doing it. When we started here last year, well, in 2013, a year and a half ago, nobody knew Office. So it's very hard to start with something that's hard. So the important thing to know about Google Docs is this is 80/80. Morning, Keith. So for some people, they might think it's 88, not 88, it's 80/80. And what that means is Docs does 80% of what you need to know 80% of the time. If Microsoft is like a Ferrari, Docs is like a Toyota. What would you rather drive, a Ferrari or a Toyota? In law school, they teach you the answer to almost every question is it depends. Okay, so what would you rather drive, a Ferrari or a Toyota?
Depends.
Yeah, on what?
On how much money you have.
Okay, cost is one thing, right? If you don't have enough money to pay for insurance, maintenance, if you don't have an extra $2,000 a month, the Ferrari is not the good choice. Because it's just a matter of time before it stops working. How about grocery shopping? Could go grocery shopping in a Ferrari?
Pretty impressive.
Probably not practical.
Every day.
Okay. So now a Toyota, it's not as glamorous, it's not as sexy as a Ferrari, but all you need for a Toyota is gas, water, and oil, and it's going to keep going. Low maintenance car. Just keep running. And so Docs is like a Toyota. It's a good, stable, it has some benefits, like a Toyota has some benefits that a Ferrari doesn't have, like a trunk. Okay. You don't have to really be sophisticated to know how to drive a Toyota. You can't be a bad driver. If you're a bad driver and you're in a Ferrari, something bad will probably happen. You're either going to wreck the car or you're going to kill yourself or kill someone else or injure someone else because you have to know how to drive cars like that have too much power. So we do Google Docs here because when we started out trying to teach people Word and Office who didn't know anything how to do it, we just couldn't do it. It was too hard. Too hard. People were spending too much time, and at the end, nobody really knew Word. But we can incorporate docs into our Friday quiz. Morning, Lieutenant. We can incorporate docs into our Friday quiz. Everybody has to learn how to create a doc, right? Put the link in there, share it, do all that kind of stuff. So that's a surprise. We can incorporate docs into what we do in our normal course of business. It's easy to use docs when we're doing the TED Talk. How, Lewis?
Because we could like copy what we say on it and put it on docs and then go back.
Yeah.
It's like having notes.
Okay, you can cut and paste. You could be collaborating. You could have a document and 2 or 3 people could be collaborating on the same document, the same TED Talk notes. So docs does 80% of what you need to do 80% of the time, and it's about 800 times easier to learn because you just need to know the stuff you need to know. Now, if you want to do sophisticated stuff, docs can't do that. You have to know Word. But if you know how to do the simple stuff, it's easy to go to Word if you know docs. It's not easy to go to Word if you don't know Word. It's easy to go to Word if you know docs. And then when somebody says, oh, you need to do this fancy kind of table, and you're in Word, oh, cool, that's great. You can't do that in docs. I didn't know you could do that. Great, you can do it in Word, and you remember it because it has meaning. When you're learning Word, you have to learn a whole bunch of stuff that you might not ever use, right? And what happens to that stuff that you learn that you don't think you're going to use it? You lose it, okay? So that's why we do docs. Also, it's free. Also, for everybody here, you have it forever. Any document you've ever done, you have forever.
Also allow me to download Word as well.
Okay, so now it is completely compatible now. So if you don't know docs or you don't know Word, you go to a company and they use Word. It used to be, it wasn't really fully compatible. You couldn't take a Word doc and be able to work on it. Now you can. Also, you can now create a doc. You're working in docs and you can save it as a Word file for the people who are not on docs. And it's the perfect way to take a company and you're saying, I'm going to help you move to the cloud. Docs is a great way to do it because it's so easy for people who know Word to learn docs. Most of the commands are exactly the same. So when you learn docs, you go to a company and say, okay, I'm going to teach you, we're going to move to the cloud. For them to learn docs is kind of a step backwards because it doesn't do as much. It only does 80% of what you need 80% of the time. So some people will keep using docs, or not docs, some people will keep using Word at a business because they're the people who are creating interesting looking documents and forms and stuff like that. Really cool looking stuff. But most of the people won't need to do it. And what they're going to be happy about is the collaboration feature in docs that you don't get in Word. And keeping revisions. Not ever having to worry about, oh, I didn't save the file. Oops. What happens in Word if you don't save the file and you shut the machine off? It's gone. Gone. Now you can turn on something called auto save or something in Word. Most people don't because you're trying to work and all of a sudden it decides I'm going to save the document. You ever had that happen, Velvet? Most people don't have it turned on because if you're in the flow of something and you're working, it's just like here when our machines have to download new software and you're sitting there waiting, right? You know what I'm talking about? Yeah. So autosave is good, but it's frustrating if you're trying to do something in Word and the machine every 15 minutes goes into autosave. That means you have to stop until it's done. Google doesn't do it that way. So, and Google Docs is offline. How do you get to Google Docs offline? Everybody should know. Yeah, so it should be configured, but how do you turn it on? You're offline, how do you get to Google Docs? Bueller. Okay, how do you do it? Exactly, you open Chrome, then what? Go to your apps page, or you might have it on your bookmarks bar, or you could have it as an extension. Click on that, it opens a document. Now, if you have Google Drive on your PC, what is it always doing? So this is a feature in Google we might look at tomorrow or the next day. But you can have your PC synced with your drive. What does that mean? That means all of the files that are on your drive are also on your PC. So you don't need internet connectivity because it's always making sure the two things are synced. If you create a document in offline docs, an offline document, and then you go home, do whatever, as soon as your machine has internet connectivity, it will sync what's on your drive with what's on your PC. Okay, so that's kind of cool, but what's the problem with that? What's the problem with any document you do is on your PC? Well, it's on your drive too. It's not gone. What's the problem with that? What's the problem if you have a document that you did in Docs, it's on your drive, that's good, right? Because that means you can access it from anywhere. But now it's also on your computer because you have Google Drive Sync on. What's bad?
You want to erase it?
Huh?
You want to get rid of it? Or?
What's bad, Rodney? Okay, the bad thing is if somebody gets on your computer and you don't, and you're lazy and you don't have it, so you have to enter your password all the time, you just have it, you get on, everything's open. Now, everything on your drive is accessible, it's on your PC. You don't have any security. Okay, so one of the great things, I carry around a Chromebook, right? Because I'm doing these interviews. Chromebook doesn't really store anything on it. Where's it stored? Yeah, it's stored on my drive in the cloud. Okay, so if I lose my Chromebook, what have I lost? A piece of equipment, yeah. Okay, now let's say it was like a laptop and I was lazy and I didn't have my password stuff in there and I lose my laptop, what happens?
Two websites look professional and engaging.
What happens if I lose my laptop?
You don't,
Huh?
you can always access it from any laptop, any device, but if you don't have it,
No, let's say it's on, I have a laptop, all my stuff is on my hard drive, I lose my laptop.
you lose everything.
Yeah, whoever's got my laptop has all of my stuff. So I'm not going to want to have confidential stuff on my laptop, right? Because I don't want to lose it. Or if I lose it, I want somebody else to see it. That's one of the problems with Google Sync is it uses your hard drive and it stores all your files. Okay, that's what everybody else does. It doesn't use Drive. All of the stuff they do is already stored on their computer. So Google says, what's the big deal? Everyone else is storing all their stuff on their hard drive too. We're not creating a new problem. We just aren't eliminating a problem. But here's how I want you to think about it. Your Google Drive is very safe and secure. Did anybody watch the trailer for today's today's Hangout? Okay, so there's a trailer there that has Google's data centers on it, of the security that they have. And really, what everybody should do is all of your most confidential documents you should have stored in a folder, in an obscure folder, on your drive. Scan your driver's license, your credit cards, all of that stuff, because in case you ever lose them, your birth certificates, all of that stuff, scan it, save it to your drive, because if you ever lose that stuff, where do you have a copy? Yeah, you have it on your drive. Last summer, for people that were in Hero School, that were homeless people, look, let us scan all of your documents, because homeless people have a problem of losing their wallets and ID, right? Right? So, you know, Dave, how long did it take Dave Sweetland to get his birth certificate? Years. It took him years to get his birth certificate. He just got it. So all of those documents you should, for the rest of your life, you should scan them and put them on your drive. And you put them on a folder that's sort of obscure, that nobody's just going to happen to find it. You know, so something I do is I call those kind of folders virus. Okay, do most people want to open a folder that says virus or malware? What if I called it top secret information? That would be a file everybody would want. But so with Drive, one of the benefits of Drive that everybody should take advantage of is you can store all of your stuff. What smart people do is they go around their house, they take pictures of important things that they own. Rolex watch, take a picture of the back with the serial number on it, because if you get robbed or your house burns down, guess what you have stored on your drive? All important stuff. You get a letter from your daughter that you really love, take a picture of it, scan it, store it on your drive, because at some point in time, it gets to be really cumbersome to be carrying around these banker's boxes full of the most important letter you've ever received from your daughter. But if it's online, if it's stored on your drive, you can do it. So we've gone far afield from a feature in Drive is Google Drive Sync. It's a good feature, but what it does is whoever has access to your computer has access to your drive if you don't have the password protected. Like, in other words, if you click the box that says, do you want the system to memorize your password so you don't have to enter it every time? If you do that, then the problem is whoever sits at the computer you had now has access to everything on your drive. Okay, but that's the way it is for everybody else anyway. Anybody not using Google Drive, they have their personal stuff stored on a computer. Having used a Chromebook for the last 6 or 7 months, where nothing is stored on the Chromebook, it's kind of a feeling of relief. You know, you just don't have to worry about where's my Chromebook or where's my laptop. Or somebody says, can I use your laptop? I say, sure. I log out, give them the thing. They log in as a guest. They don't have access to my drive. No big deal. The thing we're talking to Southern Desert about is giving everybody a Chromebook. All the students a Chromebook. Anybody here been at Southern Desert in the past where they had the old lunchroom? Okay, so that's where we're supposed to put our class. One of the problems there is they don't have electricity in that room. There's 2 outlets. Okay, that doesn't work for here, right? But with the Chromebook, it's battery operated. You have a cart and you just plug it in. So, so we do docs. We do docs because docs does 80% of what you need to do 80% of the time. It's free. You're always updating it. Microsoft Word is updated and it's not free. They don't always update it. It's not free. So on our, yes.
For Microsoft Word, that's something you can buy for.
Yeah, well, no. So it depends which package of Office you buy. So you buy Word as part of a collection of Microsoft Office. So they have different degrees of Office. The highest one is called Professional. It has everything. I think the lowest one is called Family. And you just get Word, PowerPoint, Excel, and I think Outlook. You might get a couple other things. Student version, you can put it on, I think, like 3 computers. So student version gives you more than home, and you can put it on more computers, but it's like $100. So Google is free, and it's always updated. You don't ever have to worry about it. One of the problems that we deal with as a school is when Microsoft comes out with a new version, when do we take it? You take it the first week it comes out? No, you have to pay for updates. Word, when Office updates, one of the issues we have at the school is when Office updates, when do we update our school? Because if they're on Office, say 14, 2015, if Microsoft's new release is Microsoft 2015, but everybody is using 2010, everybody out there, all businesses are using 2010, when do we need to start teaching 2015? Why? Because none of the people are going to get jobs in a business where they're using 2015. Okay, but on the other hand, if we teach 2010 and you go to a company that's upgraded to 2015, you're behind. So it's kind of it's not really great. Docs is always being updated. Everybody using Docs is using the same version of Docs because they update it and everybody has to take advantage of the new features. Okay, any other questions? Questions in California?
Anybody questions on Docs? Anyone? Huh? No questions right now, Ed.
Okay, so if we look at our notes for today, what else are we going to talk about? If you go to the Google Apps, Google Events, what else are we going to talk about? Drive? Somebody say Drive? What else is in our notes? Does everybody know about looking at the events at 9 o'clock, 9:30? Okay. Does everybody know, in addition to watching the video over on the right, there's a thing called Details.
You tell this that 90% of the time, or 90%.
Yeah, now it's 80. Now it's 80. Okay. Okay. Make sure that offline is configured. Okay, let's create a document.
I'm sure everybody here knows how to do that, right?
So now everybody create a document. How do we do that? Yeah.
While you're Drive,
Everybody knows how to create a document, right?
Okay, so let me go along with you.
That's pretty good. I know you know.
Okay, so go to Drive, right? How do I get to Drive? Okay. Go to the 9 square grid, go to Drive. Okay, so where am I, when I go to Drive, where am I immediately? Where am I located on Drive? What's the default? You're on my Drive. Okay, so now I want to create a document.
Because I can't change the other one.
red bar. And then you push new, right? And go to Google Docs. Okay. And what did the video say to do first? Right. Create a title. What if you don't? What happens? Yeah. So what's the first untitled document called? Nope. Right. What's the second one called? Untitled document 2. Or maybe it's it might even be 1. First copy or something. And what'll happen is if you keep forgetting to do this, what you're going to get is an ending chain of untitled document, untitled document, untitled document. Oh, okay. I thought it said it. So that makes it even worse. But you can know the date, right? It'll tell you the date that you have the untitled document. So best practices is to get in the habit of when you create a document, the first thing to do is click on untitled document. Then what happens when you do that? A little box pops up and it says rename document. So what are you renaming it from? Untitled document. Right. Now here's the important thing to know. Because your Google Drive is something you should have for the next 20, 30 years. You could have thousands of documents. You need to create a structure for naming documents so that you can find stuff. So when you do a Google search, one of the great things about Google is the Google search algorithm works in all of these apps. Okay? So when you're in your Drive, if you're looking for a document, how do you find the document? What's one way? Huh? Well, that one way would be create a folder structure to do it. Yeah, you can do a search. Okay? And Google will search through your Drive, but you've got thousands of documents there. You're looking for a document you created 8 years ago. Well, if you know the date 8 years ago, if you know that, okay, so another best practices thing to do is to create documents so you can kind of get an idea of where to find it. So for example, with our magazine, Chow Tutti, every document we create for it, we start out with what is it or who's it for? That would be a better way to say it. Who's it for? So it's for Chow Tutti. So we put Chow Tutti. So we knew if we're looking for a Chow Tutti document 5 years from now, and I've got 20,000 documents on my thing, if I put Chow Tutti, CT, it's going to search through all of those, come up with a list for me. Then we say the month, year. So Chow Tutti, June 2015. So now what that tells me is if I'm looking for 5-10 years from now, looking for a document that was in the June Chow Tutti magazine, if I put CT June 2015, the search is going to come back with every document that was created for that. So it makes it easy to remember. And then what it is, for who, and then page number, if I know it. So if somebody said, hey, I have page 16 for this magazine, I didn't even know I didn't even need to know it was on that magazine. If you just tell me. Or I could put Chow Tutti page 16, P16, and it's going to come up with a list of all of the files that have Chow Tutti page 16 in it. And it will say, Here's the June, July, August, September, October. Come back with every month. So get in the habit of creating the file name so that you can remember it in the future. If it's for the school, what do you think I would start a file with if it has something to do with the school? LTC or LTC LV. It has to do with here. That way I can find it. When I do a TED Talk in the morning, I take notes on a TED Talk on my computer. How do you think I start that TED Talk? I type TED, and then I put the person's name. That's all I do for that. So if I want to know all of the TED Talks, notes that I've ever taken for any TED Talk, what do I have to do? Just type in TED, right? So here on Fridays, we have these quizzes, right? So those always start out with the time, class, date. So I'll put in 8 o'clock, TED Talk, or Google Apps or whatever. And again, if I do a search, I just want to know what are all the quizzes that we've ever done at 8 o'clock. All I have to do is put in 8 o'clock. And then the search comes back with all of the talks we've ever done. Now, what if I want to move those into a folder? What do I do? Yeah, okay. So I could select all those files and I could drag them into a new folder if I wanted to do that in the future. Okay. So it's one of the key things about docs that we have to do is we've got to make sure we can create a doc and we can find it. So now we only have a few minutes left. So the thing to do now is does everybody have a document open? So let's, yeah.
What is the search?
Google search is their first app. It was what Google really is. So Google is really a search engine, and they've created separate apps to do that. Yeah, so what Google is, if I say Google something, what does that mean? Search. Search for something on the internet. So it's kind of like the mothership. Yeah. Google search is bedrock, it's the foundation for all of these apps. They all have search. Okay, so now how do we share a document? How do we collaborate? Okay. Share. So remember, there's more than one way to do things. There's always more than one way to do things in Google. So what's another way to share? Yeah, that's the first way. What's another way?
Post it on the Google Plus.
Okay, so that would be a way if you're not in the document. If the document is open, how's another way to share it? What happens if you click on, Well, got to get there first. So what happens if you click on the word file?
Oh, we talking about that.
There's a drop down that says share.
Yeah.
So share the document with the person, one of the people sitting next to you. And what do you need to do? And what do you need to do? Be able to share it. Okay. Now, what if they're in your contact list? Yeah. Everybody's email address starts with LTCLV.
September.
That's is LTC LV dot your first name dot the day you started at Gmail. This is the thing that you should know and remember. It's not going to be good if you want to go to the library or go someplace else, get on the computer and say, damn, I can't remember my email. Okay, so we're going to pick up tomorrow with this, but what we want to do is make sure everybody's sharing, collaborating. Okay, so you done? Who do you have with Mike? No, that doesn't work. You can't share it with yourself. Well, you technically can. Just try to have a separate account. Where are you sharing? So you share it with Velvet? So what you should do is share with somebody who's not sharing with you. That's fine. It's not in your contact. So you want to say, okay. So you want to add. Okay, Dennis, any questions there?
Any more questions here? No.
We will pick up where we left off.
Okay. Yeah, we're pretty good. Everyone knows how to create and send the documents. We're good.
Good. Okay. Great. So everybody shut its break.